Welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Pursuing Purpose. It's your girl Stephanie Wachiadam with another episode showing you what we have in the Toronto community and hopefully worldwide in the future. We'll be discussing career paths that brought people closer to their purpose, their passions, their dreams, and how they were able to succeed the person that they're meant to be. Today we have my girl Daniela, my family, my mom, my sister, everything here today, sharing with us her experience in the creative world of writing and reading and everything in between. So today we have Daniela. Daniela, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great, thanks for having me here today. I guess I'll say my name's Daniela Domfeh. Technically I would consider myself a writer. Live in Toronto, Ghanaian, born in Italy. I guess that's basically it I would say about myself. Is there anything else that you want to know?
No worries. Just that overview was great and we'll dive deep. And so first off, let's take us back into time. Let us know how you started off with this love for reading and writing and what your first experience with that or first memory of that
Sure.
was.
So first memory of reading was when I was 3. So I was 3 years old and my mom's a big stickler for English. She says that's why she brought me here. So, brought me here, was 3 years old, and she was like, she's going to teach me how to read a book. And it wasn't a simple book. It was not like a see, dog, cat, run, nothing like that. It was The Princess and the Pea.
Okay.
And so I had to learn how to read that. And I used to get stuck on certain words like once upon a time, upon a tall, tall hill. And in the process of trying to read, it has pictures in it, so I make up my own stories. And she's like, you're not reading. And I'm like, yes, I am. And then the girl and the boy, and it went off. So that's my first experience of reading is with my mother. After that, I think my favorite moment with reading is that when I was around 5 or 6, she would make me read to her. So instead of bedtime being her read to me, it would be me read to her. And my favorite book to read to her would be Madeline.
Oh, yeah. I love her.
So I'd always read something from Madeline to my mom before I went to bed. So I've always loved reading.
That's great. I love that too. I love being able to read out loud and let them hear me say the complicated words. I'm like, yes, that's me. That's great. Perfect. And so I know for me, I think it was grade 3 when writing came into the picture. How about you? Do you remember that?
I don't know if it was grade 3. Maybe grade 2. So I know I had a situation for a little while where I was in class and nobody really liked me. I'm not really sure exactly the dynamics of it or whatnot. And the teacher would let me sit and do whatever I wanted to do. Nice. So I'd write stories.
That's great.
So I'd come up with my own ideas and have my own little friends. And then I'd show the teacher and she'd be like, good job. And that, I think that kind of sparked something in me because I always had a story. Like I was always coming up with stories or an idea. So that kind of sparked something in me that I knew I could sit down and come up with my own idea. So I think that would probably be around grade 2. I think for me, the first time I realized that I could actually tell a real good story was in grade 5.
Okay.
So in grade 5, they asked everybody what they did for the summer, and I did nothing.
Oh, pain. I've been there.
You know, you don't do nothing because your parents are working 2-3 jobs, so you don't go away on vacation. So I asked the teacher and I said, sir, if we did nothing, he's like, make something up. And I was like, okay. So I made something up and I handed it to him and he was like, is that where you went for the summer? And I was like, no, I made it up. And he was like, wow. And so that kind of lit a little spark in me too. I was like, okay.
I got this.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And so in high school, were you able to hone in more on that? Did you have any?
So I would say at the beginning of high school, not really. I think something that people should know is that with a lot of our talents, you don't realize that it's a gift because it's just something that comes easy to you. So with writing, it was just something that I did once in a while. You know, a story here, a story there, nothing like big or important because I thought everybody could do this. I never saw it as a big deal. I got to, I think, around maybe grade 10 and English class, we had to start doing like stories or whatnot. And I wrote something and the teacher automatically thought I plagiarized. She's like, you couldn't have written this. And I was like, yes, I did. And it was a big episode. She's like, it's impossible. You never wrote this. And that kind of a little bit dimmed my light because I had a teacher thinking that I was plagiarizing when I wasn't. I got to grade 11 and I had an English teacher and she wanted us to write a story. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this again. I'm like, I don't want to go through this again. But I remember I had a good weekend where I had nothing to do, like no chores or anything. And I sat down and I wrote. And I handed it in, and I think probably that week the teacher came back and said, my best writer's in the class, and she said my name, and I was like,
pardon me.
Yeah, and she was like, this was the most amazing story I've ever read. And so that kind of, I was like, okay.
That means something.
I could do this. Still didn't kind of take it too seriously. Got to, I think, grade 12, and you had to pick classes that you were going to take or whatnot. So with the classes I wanted to take, I had some extras left over, and so I decided one of them would be creative writing. That's when I kind of got a little interested in it, because it was a whole class about learning the process of creative writing or whatnot. So I got to write stories, different types of stories. Every day you had to come in prepared to write a story. So I got to write different stories, learn a little bit, but didn't take it seriously. I'll be honest with you. High school, elementary, it was just something that I could do. It wasn't something I thought about seriously, especially us coming from like the community we're from. So it wasn't something I took seriously.
Because we know Ghanaians would be like writing.
That's exactly what happened. So I think when I was getting ready to go to university, I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do, but I knew that I liked politics, I liked history, and I liked writing. So at first I wanted to be a historian, but parents,
okay. What do you do with
what can you do with that one? So no historian for me. So political science kind of had both in there. So that's when I decided I would go into poli-sci.
That's perfect. And did you have an idea of like you being a politician, or you being behind the scenes, or what role did you see yourself in at that time?
At that time, I thought I was going to be a lawyer. Okay. I honestly thought I was going to be a lawyer. So I was like, yep, I will do this. We'll become a lawyer. Like, that's what I thought. Because especially in our community, like I like to call it the Holy Trinity,
Holy Trinity.
Yes, Holy Trinity is doctor, lawyer, engineer, and once in a while, business person.
Exactly. If you have a set.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's exactly what I thought, I'm going to follow the Holy Trinity and everything will be okay.
It'll work out. And then how did that take a turn for a different direction?
Gosh. In high school, the teacher tries to tell you that university is different from high school.
Oh, God.
And sometimes you don't believe them because you're so good in high school. You're like, I could do this.
Right.
And then you get there and you're like, what the heck?
Yes.
You're like, this is not easy. And I think that's what happened for a little bit for me. So university wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. So that was like a shock because, coming from high school being smart. You're smart.
Straight A's.
Yes, smart. You know what I mean? And then getting to university and it's like you're average.
It's painful.
Because all the smart people are here because that's
honestly
what it is. University is all the smart people in one place, right? So then you become average. I tried to figure out what I liked, took certain courses or whatnot. Still liked poli-sci, but I just felt like it was like not 100% what I wanted to do. And so I started looking into like taking literature courses or whatnot. That was my first encounter with African literature. Never read an African book until I went to university.
I know, it's so hard to find. You don't realize.
If I am to say it is a crime that at least here in Toronto, I can't speak for all the school boards, but at least in the Catholic school board that I grew up in, I never read any book written by a Black person, let alone an African person. So I didn't even know we had books about us that we wrote or anything like that until I got to university. So took African literature and I was like, I love this. I really love this. And I was like, okay, this is cool. Still wasn't sure. Honestly, it's not an easy process, so it wasn't something I thought I would do. I'm like, this is just something I like. Okay, I'll read African books in my spare time. Exactly. I like it. That's fine. Yeah. Whenever it came time for me to do homework, so like do assignments or whatever, my introductions for anything would be too colorful. They'd be like too much imagination going on here. And I'd be like, it's my introduction. I'm trying to like get excited. And they'd be like, no, there's too much creativity going on here. We just want facts on the paper. And so I'd be like, okay. I'm like, I guess, I didn't know what to do with this thing I had, right? And at one point I even wanted to leave university. And I was telling my mom, and she's like, what do you want to do if you leave university? And I was like, I could go into film. And she was like, no.
Because
no. And she's like, what kind of film? Actress? And I was like, no, I could write stories. And she's like, nope. So I was like, okay.
Gotcha.
We're going back. Holy Trinity.
I'm coming.
Here we go. Yes, Holy Trinity. We're going back. So, even though I started to have that, I could maybe write a little something, I had to push it to the side and not think about it. So I really didn't think about it then either.
That is a shame. And so was it the 4 years of trying to push that aside of the first university experience, or was it after?
So when you mean the 4 years of pushing it aside, do you mean when did I decide to do writing? Or
so so did you keep on pushing it until after university?
Oh, for sure. So I kept pushing it to the side. So I graduated in 2008. If anybody knows about 2008, that's when the recession hit. And so I had got myself a nice little job, and I thought, I'm on my way, and then the recession hit. And so my job disappeared. I don't even think that business or company even exists anymore. So that's how bad the 2008 recession hit. And it was hard for me to find a job at that time. I tried everything. I kind of really hit rock bottom. And I wasn't sure what to do. And the only thing I thought of was maybe I should go back to school. So I looked into it, and I looked into PR. So I went back to school for PR.
And how did you come across PR?
Oh gosh, I can't even remember properly. I think it was just a lot of studying, trying to figure out where I could be creative and still, in my mind, have a 9 to 5. Because I was trying to figure out what I could do. So when I looked at that, I felt like that was the best option for me at the time. So I applied. I had to go do a test. It wasn't I have no idea if they still make you do a test, but back then that was not the easiest thing in the world. Had to actually go and do a test before they could decide if you were qualified to be in their program or not.
Wow, that's real.
And then I packed my bags and I went to Ottawa. So, where I would say kind of writing hit me a little bit in school was when we had a writing contest. And this wasn't even really creative. This was just writing. And so it was basically they wanted people to enter the contest to write something about what was happening in the world. And I decided to write about the first round of elections in Côte d'Ivoire at that time. So this was back, I want to say 2010? Around then. This was the first round of elections that Ivory Coast had. And I wrote about it basically from the point of view that people were not getting their results for the election on TV. This was back before social media was really big. So I was talking about how people were actually turning to Twitter, turning to Facebook for the election results back home. And at that time, that was actually something that I didn't realize was groundbreaking. Something that we do now regularly.
With no problem.
Yeah, was groundbreaking back then. So they said my writing was the best. And I was like, what? I
was like, I didn't put your juice in it. So.
I was like, well, I tried. I did my best or whatever. But I was like, wow. I was like, okay. I was like, okay. And I won. I won the contest. The contest was $1,000.
Oh, okay.
And I sent what I wrote to my mother. And that was the first time my mom was like, maybe there's something here, right? I didn't look into it too much. I was like, okay, I can write. I know I'm a writer, right? I was like, that's fine, whatever. I'm going to use that in my skills
on the resume, right?
for the resume, education, stuff like that. After PR, going to school or whatnot, you know, you try to do working and things like that. Didn't work out too well in certain fields or whatnot. And then I think for me, 2015 was a very difficult year. It was a difficult year. My grandfather and my cousin died within probably 3 weeks of each other.
Oh, that's so short.
3 weeks of each other, and I hit rock bottom. And I really think, I can't say for everybody, but rock bottom is where sometimes when you sit and you actually think and you even talk to God, you figure out what you're supposed to do. Sometimes you actually have to hit that low point
exactly
to find yourself. And in that low point, I remembered a story that I had written real quick and ignored. And that story kept coming back to my mind while I was in rock bottom. It kept coming back to my mind, and I was like, I don't even know if I want to do this. I'm like, the way things are going, I'm like I should be focused on other stuff. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not gonna pay attention to it too much. So I ignored it. Got myself a nice little good 9-to-5 job. That's what I was like, because that's what you're thinking. You're like 9 to 5. It is stable. Let's go with that. And the idea wouldn't leave me alone. It kept, like, it would wake me up in the middle of the night.
Wow.
I don't know how to explain it. Like, for anybody who is into writing, I think you probably will understand what I mean. When an idea or a story does not leave you alone, it will wake you up. It will remind you that it is there and it is waiting for you to write it. So I decided I was going to go back to school for writing. And this, honestly, at this point, when you tell people you're going back to school, they're like, again? They're like, you book log, refuse to leave school. So I had to find a way that I could go to school and work so that everybody wouldn't be worried that I am like just basically wasting my life, right? So luckily there was a program at Humber that I took. I applied for the program. You have to fill out all these forms or whatever, and then I got in. And I could do that program and work. And that was perfect for me in the situation I was in. When I started the program, the mentor I had asked me, he's like, I love the story. He's like, how many pages do you have? I'm like, the 3 I handed in. And he was like, what? And I'm like, the 3 I handed in is all I have. How do we go from here? And that was the real journey of getting into writing.
That's great. And the mentor was school assigned, or did you find your way to?
So with the Humber College creative writing program, they assigned you a mentor, and my mentor is actually a really big writer. I'm not sure if anybody else maybe knows about him, but his name is Nino Ricci, and he's written Lives of the Saints and other stories. So I actually had an actually published author be my mentor.
That's great.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's dope. So how did he help you get to that point?
So I had only 3 pages, and in the process he would help me like trying to figure out a way to get the story further along, how to not explain but describe what was going on in scenes and stuff like that, and just also there just to give you support. That was the main part, just to give support as well too. I think for me and my journey, it's not as conventional as other people, because I didn't know that for Humber College they actually only take people who have a full book.
Oh, I see.
I didn't have a book. So I found that out when I went to meet one of the directors of the program, and he was like, what do you mean you only have 3 pages? I'm like, yeah, 3 pages. And he was like, we don't do that. We usually take people who have a full book and they just need help editing the book or fixing it. And I was like, no, I wrote a whole book while I was here.
That's great.
So it was a different process for me, yeah.
That's perfect. And so that 3 pages ended up in being...
3 pages ended up being, oh gosh, how many pages is it?
Yeah.
So with writing, it always changes. So 3 pages is like around now 300, but it always changes because the story doesn't want to be finished yet, so I'm still working on that story. So 3 pages ended up being 300, and a story that I think I'm proud of.
Can we find it? Or do you still need
No,
to
I'm still
finish up that
I'm
last
still
part?
working on that story.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's something I'm really working on. So basically, I think another part I didn't mention was with wanting to write, I would see other people's stories out there. So I would see other communities, Caribbean communities, Asian communities, and I didn't see anything really Ghanaian. And I always felt like I could do that, couldn't I? And I always felt like maybe, like a little part of me always felt like I could maybe write something about us, because I felt like we should be out there too. We have writers, but we don't have as many as other groups do. We don't have as many that are celebrated, everybody knows about them. That is the long goal in the future, God willing, that, you know, I'll be a household name. If not, at least I tried. I think that's the...
And at least it'll be in Toronto. We'll push that.
Well, thank you, yes. You know, that's the other thing too with the passion. Like, at least you tried, you put an effort in it, and you know, when you leave this earth, you've done your part. So that's something I'm very happy about. So with the writing, I tend to focus on Ghanaian community in the things that I try to write. The book that I wrote for Humber and then also took to do my master's is based on the past in Ghana. It's about a young girl growing up in Ghana at the edge of independence. So it's just about her life. So her and independence are meeting each other at the same time.
I love it. I'm so excited. No, trust me. I found this one book, and it just described the experience in Ghana. They said the truck passed by, and there was a music blasting from the car, and I just went to go eat some banku, and I just love feeling like I was there. Yes, that's what good writing does. Good writing, you feel like you're there, Like, that's the thing, you can go to a different world, escape. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you said that you were able to continue that with your master's.
Yes, so finished the Humber College experience, and I went to Humber College's birthday party for the creative writing program. And I was sitting there, and a gentleman said, "We have a new thing we're coming out with. We're going to have a master's program." And other people were like, "Yeah."
Oh, really?
And I was like...
That's amazing.
I was like, I've always wanted a master's in creative writing. Like, it's what I've always wanted. And then I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't be continuously going to school.
Yeah.
Like, this was literally the thought. Because, like, if you ask me, I have a lot of education, a little too much.
It's great. You never have too much.
Never have too much, but, like, if you put it on the resume, my education section from a resume is about this big.
That's great.
Right? So when the gentleman said that, I ignored that feeling again, too. The feeling was like, go, you're going to go do your master's. And I was like,
Can't do this.
I can't keep going to school. That was like literally the feeling I thought I had. Like, I can't keep going to school. But the same with writing, it kept coming back to me, kept calling me, kept saying...
God will make it bother you.
I honestly, that is exactly the only thing I can explain about that. So it got to a point where it was like, okay, so I typed to them, and it was like, a gentleman at the party said, you guys are coming up with a master's program. And the lady's like, oh yeah, we're still working on it. We haven't really 100% got it figured out. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I thought, I took that as, we're not doing masters. We're not doing it.
It's done.
And then a couple months later, they sent me an email. They're like, hey, you said you wanted, the master's program is here. And I was like, okay.
I thought it was done.
I thought I had gotten away from it, but I hadn't. So so I did my master's in creative and critical writing from the University of Gloucestershire in the UK. So that was also an interesting experience as well too, getting a master's. It wasn't easy at all with work, with all the things of life, ups and downs, but you know, I persevered, I pushed through it, and I graduated.
That's great. So it was a 2-year program, or was it one?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And you moved there, or did you work online?
So it was online, and then went there for the graduation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Perfect. And was it a flexible schedule, or was it like...
Yes. So I had a mentor, and I explained to her that if I did not work a full-time job, I would not be able to survive. So we needed to come up with a schedule that worked for me. So I'm very thankful that we came up with something that worked for me, because if not, I don't think I would have passed.
I feel you. So, what was class like and assignments like?
So with creative and critical writing, at the time that I took it, it was also working on a story. And then the part that made it so difficult was you actually had to critique your own writing like you were a critic, and explain where you would have pulled this ideas and information from. So then I had to sit down and start talking to myself and being like, why did you write what you wrote? And there were days where I was like, I don't know.
I just did.
I just did it. But it actually helps you to actually see that sometimes there are things, the reason why you write the way you do, there are reasons behind it.
Okay.
There are things that you pull from that you don't realize you're pulling from, right? So like me and my fascination with Ghana and with independence and just colonialism and things like that, it helped me realize that's because I do love history. So I'm pulling from things that I know from a history that I'm constantly trying to figure out. So it wasn't easy, but it was a good experience.
That's great, perfect. And so after finishing that up, you continued on with the role that you're in now, or in?
Yes, so actually, still in the job that I'm at, moved up a little bit, got a promotion or whatnot, but I appreciate having the 9 to 5 I have. I am at this age a believer that you do not have to quit your job to follow your passions. You can still have a 9 to 5 because that pays the bills. There's nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5. I don't have a 9 to 5 that I'm ashamed of, or like I don't mind having the job I have. I appreciate it. It's helped me, especially coming from a time where I've been in the recession before, didn't have a job at one point, so I know what it's like to not work, be unemployed. I know that feeling. So having this 9 to 5 really is important to me. It helped me pay for university, for the master's program. It allows me to still take care of myself and also pursue my passions on the side. So I think that for me is important, that I have the 9 to 5 and I can still pursue my passions. Because even if you didn't have a job, if you didn't want to pursue your passion, you wouldn't.
That's right. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I remember in the past you saying that, like you were just saying now, you can still pursue your passion. You're still putting on and off that book, but do you have short stories that you write? And
yes, so I actually wrote a story for an anthology. I don't know if it's in the UK, so I have no idea if it's here. So I really tried to get at least a little bit of writing in. So like with that story, it like once again wakes you up in the middle of the night and says, write me. And I wrote it, and I wasn't sure if they would even accept it or not, and they did. So I've written in an anthology.
And how did you come across that one?
School. Okay. Luckily, the program I'm in, they do I was in, not in, though I was in. They do once in a while let you know about certain situations and things like that, so you can write for anthologies or things like that, contests. It's not hard to find contests. You can find them online. I think the thing some people don't know about contests is that you actually have to pay a fee to be entered into a writing contest. So that's something people should think about, because that's technically how they get the money to pay you if you win the prize.
Oh, I see. Okay,
yeah.
That makes sense. And how much is that fee?
It all depends. Honestly, I think I've seen as low as $10, and I think I've seen as high as $50.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That all depends, right? So there are stuff like that. Like CBC has a contest they do, which is really good. They have the creative writing side, and then they also have the nonfiction side. So they do it every year. So you can apply for those as well too. Contests are good. Writing is like just trying to write and get yourself out there is also good too. So I'm trying to do both of those, like trying to get myself out there a little bit more. I think also with this new pandemic we're in, it also helps you focus on what is really important, because if we're locked down and we're stuck here, like it lets you think about, what do you really want to do with your life? Like, do you want to be in that job that you're in? Do you want to not pursue what always has made you happy? So I'm happy that at this point I've pursued something that made me happy. It's something that came easy to me. I just always thought it was just something I did. I didn't know that it was a talent or a skill or a gift. I just thought it was something that everybody could do. But it's my gift that God gave me, and I'm glad that I've taken a step out and done my best to try to cultivate it.
That's great. I love that. That's perfect. Especially because, like, with this pandemic, some people have lost their lives or just maybe lost their minds. And so it's sad to know that, shoot, I may not be able to do what I had in mind, and you feel like you've wasted all this time. And so being able to see, okay, I have absolutely nothing. Some people have no jobs, and I don't have a job. I have some extra time. I don't need to go out after work, or if I do have a job, and I can really think about, what do I want to do? Have I made myself happy? Have I followed that route? So
yes. And I think I would say to your viewers, don't look at it as like it's too late. It's never too late. Like I said, I didn't take the writing thing seriously until 2015. That's 5 years ago, right? So I've gone a long time where it was just like, it's never too late. I think the only time it is too late is when you're dead. Mm-hmm. So it's never too late to pursue your dreams, to pursue a passion that you have in something. It's never too late. And don't feel like, oh, where am I going to get the money or whatnot? Like I said, the 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. It can help you. Now, the thing with having a 9 to 5 and also pursuing your dreams is you don't sleep.
Yeah.
But you have to think about that. Is that something that you're willing to sacrifice to get to where you want to be?
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it. And so you mentioned just a moment ago, it just slipped off of my head. Oh yes, sorry, being able to afford it. So I know that throughout going to university in 2 different locations, and that cost probably was on your mind a lot. Ooh. So I know that you know quite a bit about bursaries, so you can tell us a little bit.
Yes, so I didn't learn about bursaries until I went to Ottawa, which I think is a shame. I should have learned about them at York, because that's when I needed a bursary, because at York I worked 40-hour job, and went to school and was in clubs. I don't know how.
I remember first year that was me.
I don't know how I did it all, but I did, and I wish I had learned about bursaries. So bursaries and scholarships are really important, and they're there. It is money that is just sitting there. For bursaries, schools have bursaries. They have money that they want to give you. All you have to do is just fill out the forms, explain your need, and they will give you the money. You don't have to pay it back. Scholarships, some of them depend on like grades or the program you're in, or some of them will be like only for women or only for like a minority. So that's something you can look into. If you Google, there's lots of places to look for scholarships. Fill them all out. But bursaries especially, that money is sitting there. The universities, the colleges, they all have money that is sitting there that they want to give to students who need it. If you are in need, reach out to the school, see about their bursary, get that free money. That saved me. I was the one that started putting everybody on bursary. I was like, did you know there is money here? Free? I would be like, fill out the form, free money.
Take your time, honestly.
I'd be fill out the form, free money. I'd be like, you guys, the bursary for this semester is almost up. Come on. Like I would tell people, I'd be like, free money. Come on, let's get this money.
Exactly.
And it helps. I have no idea how much it is now. I think when I was at Algonquin, I was probably like $2,000 a semester or something like that. But $2,000 is a lot. It is a lot. It goes far.
Yeah, that's literally like it's like maybe a quarter, but it's still a lot of money.
It's a lot, and it's money you don't have to pay back. It is not OSAP. They will not ask you to bring them back their money
with
at
interest.
all. Yes. There's like, so yeah, look into bursary scholarships. I got a scholarship. One friend was really, really helpful with that. She knew about an organization that helped people that were in need, so they gave me a scholarship for $1,000. I like look for them. Don't feel like you can't ask for money, that you're above that. Be below it. Ask for the money.
That's great. I love that. And in the past as well, we mentioned having that second job or that second hustle to keep the lights on, pay the bills.
Yes. So. I've had at one point when I was trying to go to Humber College, go and do school and work. I had 2 jobs at one point, just so that I had one that helped pay for school, and then I had one that helped take care of all the bills or whatnot. And I think it's just all about like your focus and what you want to do. And sure, at one point, you know, friends were like, we don't see you, you're so busy or whatnot. And I would like explain to them, I'm like, I'm really trying to go for something in my life, right? And I think your real friends will understand, and they will wait for you. They will understand that you are busy, you are pursuing something, you're trying to make something of yourself, and they will wait for you. Those ones that don't forget, like, don't worry about them at all. But yeah, if it takes you having to get 2 jobs and go to school or pursue that passion, that is something I would look into as well too. Like, especially once you're young. Like, if you're young, you have that ability, that energy. Strong, you can do that. Yeah, it's easier when you're young. You don't need as much sleep as you do as you get older, right? So yeah, I would say whatever it takes, whatever you need to do. If you need to work 2 jobs because one job's going to pay for your tuition so that you can go into that field you're looking at, that's perfect.
Oh yes, and time off. If you need to take that break, save up that money before you get back to school.
Yes.
Semester breaks if you need, stuff like that. That's great, perfect. And then also you mentioned helping some young girls with writing as well and editing.
Yes. So I think this is probably the only year that, probably this year is the only year I haven't helped anybody with schoolwork.
Yeah, I do. It's been a long time.
I noticed that this year. I haven't helped nobody with schoolwork. I'm like, wow. I still give advice. So at Algonquin, I became a recruiter. And I realized that in our community especially, we don't know a lot of stuff. And it's not our fault. We're usually the first one in our family to go to higher education. And your parents wish that they had the information to help you, but they don't know what to tell you about school. So that leads us to maybe making a wrong decision, not taking a course that we should. I remember I had wanted to change majors at one point, and I had tried to go and get advice, and I got the worst advice ever. And had I had someone like me who could put me in the right direction, I probably would have done things a little bit different. So once I became a recruiter, it became my mission. I will help anybody that needs help with going to school. You can take me as your big sister, and I will give you the information you need. And one young girl came to me one day, and she was like, you're good at writing. And she's like, can you just help me with my work? She's like, it's not, I want you to do my work. She's like, I just need you to help me because I'm not good at the editing. I'm not good at this or what not. And I was like, yeah, I'll help you with your homework. I'm like, no problem. So that was the first person I started helping with their homework. And then that just became the thing. I would help people with their homework. I would look at stuff. I would edit it. I would tell them, put more information here. Go find another book. You need more sources. So I would just help people the way I wish somebody had helped me.
Definitely pour into someone.
Yes. I've seen this somewhere before. I think it says, be the big sister that you wish you had needed when you were younger. Something like that. Don't take it for verbatim. But that's the way I see myself, as being the big sister I wish I had that would have helped me when I was younger going to school.
That's awesome. Perfect. And so with your recruiter experience too, you were traveling around.
So with my recruiting, I don't want to say unfortunately. With my recruiting, I went to the north of Ontario a lot. I went to predominantly white areas a lot. So I can't say I saw a lot of black people. If I did see you, though, I helped you. I know that much. I made a point to help you. But then also, if anybody needed help, I would take that time out to help them, explain things to them. So, say somebody wanted to go into, become a paramedic. Don't know how the rules are now in the programs, but actually to become a paramedic, you actually do need to have your license. And a lot of young people did not know that they needed to have a driver's license. They'd be like, why do I need to have a driver's license? Because if you and your partner are working on somebody needs to drive the car while the other one is doing compressions. So it can't be, no, I'm doing the compressions because I don't know how to drive. You drive. Both of us need to know how to drive. So those were the little things I used to tell people, and they'd be like, oh, I didn't know. I'm like, yeah, you can't go into these programs. There's fine print they won't tell you because, let's be honest, they want your money. They want your money, so they won't tell you certain things. So I, just being the good Samaritan I am, I'd be like, do you know how to drive? No. Are you about to get your license though? Do you have it set up? You're about to get your license, are you? Okay, if you're about to get your license, this is the program for you. If not, and you don't want to drive, this is not the program for you. Let's find you something else at this school that you could do.
That's perfect, and I think people should definitely keep on doing that. For me, I didn't know what else there was in business. I love business. I knew that there was accounting. I know that there was HR, the basic things. But then after university, I found out that there was sports management, and that you could have an internship downtown with the NFL and basketball and whatnot. I'm like, what? So definitely good to know that there's some recruiters who can tell you, like,
yes, give you some ideas. I think especially for me, I used to tell people a lot that if they were going to go into a career that was hands-on, the best option, which a lot of people don't think about, is to do college first and then go into university. So if you do college first, you do college for 2 or 3 years, depending on your program, you can go into the second year of a university program that's similar to your college education. So that means you could do college and university in less time than if you did it the other way around. And hands-on is so important. It really is, because now you see people applying for things and it's asking for like 5 years experience. Where am I supposed to get that experience from?
Definitely, but with college you have that
you have some kind of co-op or hands-on experience that you can put on the resume.
Yeah, and actually help you with the work, because you can be like, oh, muscle memory, this is what we do.
Yes.
Write it all down in theory. That's great, perfect. And were there some careers that you saw other people doing that you were thinking, this would be interesting to get into, or I should tell more people about this? Or different industries?
I'm trying to think. I think the one that I didn't realize, like at the time, I just noticed a lot of people were going into was like radiology technician, and I was like,
yeah.
I'm like, why are all the kids asking me about this course? I was like, wow, not knowing it was like to do with like ultrasounds and like doing x-rays and things like that. And that is not an easy program to get into, but everybody was trying to get into those kind of programs. And now if you look at it, that is something that's like important, people need, And what other program were people trying to... A lot of people wanted to be paramedics.
That's funny, I did hear that a few years ago, yeah.
A lot of people wanted to be paramedics. I don't know if it was their first step into becoming like maybe a nurse or a doctor, because there are different ways. Like there's no one set way of getting into the career that you want to go into, because I know people that did kinesiology and now they're lawyers. Right? There's no one step into your future, right? So that's another thing too. Don't think to yourself that, oh my gosh, I'm doing paramedic, I have to be a paramedic for the rest of my life. No. You can switch, you can pivot, you can get into something different.
That's perfect. Awesome. And so you said that you were from, I'm just going to go off track. You said that you were born in Italy. Have you thought of living there?
Gosh.
Right in a villa?
No, which is crazy, honestly, but no, I have not thought of living in Italy, which is crazy. Like, Italy is a part of me. It's like, it's my heart, it's my soul, right? I think the only place I've ever thought of living the most is Ghana.
Of course, you go there and you just feel it.
Yeah, I think you would understand. When I go to, like, the first time, so I did an internship in Ghana. I don't...
Tell us about that too. Everything.
I did an internship in Ghana, so I went to go work at Gridco, which is one of the energy companies in Ghana.
Oh, cool.
And when I was going, people were like, you're crazy. They're like, why are you going to Ghana? This was before Ghana was hot. So I need to let people know, some of us, we are visionaries. We saw the potential in Ghana before everybody else. So, yeah, I went to go do an internship in Ghana. Everybody thought I was crazy. But when I got there, like, been to Ghana before, but I never, not as an adult. So when I got there, I just felt like I was home. And I was there, just living a regular life with family or whatnot, going to work, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. And sometimes you kind of push that to the side. I don't know if you notice, I have a theme. I push things to the side, but every time I go to Ghana, it's home.
You feel the energy.
It is home. It is home. So that for me is home. I mean, Italy's in my heart. It's in my name, Daniela, but Ghana is home.
That's great. And so how did you get this internship? And what year was that? Yeah.
2010. Gosh, hold on. My uncle. So one of my uncles worked for VRA, which is also an energy company in Ghana, and he had friends that worked at Gridco because they had moved from VRA to Gridco. So he put in my application there. I put in an application. It's really weird. I put in an application. I never heard anything. I thought that nobody wanted me or whatnot. And then one day my uncle called me and he's like, yeah, so when are you going to get here?
I was like, pardon?
I was like, huh? He's like, yeah, so you're, so I think in Ghana they call it attachment. So it's not called internship. He's like, your attachment starts soon. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had to like rush and get things ready. And then I left for Ghana.
Wow. And how many months was that?
With Gridco, it was just a couple of months. But I did enjoy my time in Ghana, so I stayed a little bit longer, but that's a different story.
That's great. You gotta work and then enjoy it.
Yeah.
And just leave. That's great. And so do you remember what your tasks were like on a day-to-day basis?
So I worked in the PR department at Gridco. I basically did whatever the assistant PR wanted me to do. She's actually still one of my good friends. I talk to her all the time. So we did a lot of different things. So I helped out with a lot of stuff. I even one time helped them, which has nothing to do with PR. I helped them go and get money from people that owed money. But I also followed to radio stations. So Ghana's a little different. You pay for PR pays for the advertisement to be on the radio for things. It works a little different than it does here in Canada. I helped write for a newsletter. So just different things. Like I helped out with different things that they needed done. I actually enjoyed the time there.
That's great. Yeah, I would love to have a hookup who can just push that through and get there, enjoy. That's great. And where's there did you get a different mindset working in Ghana? You visited before, and then did you have a different perspective after leaving, saying, okay, this is what the workforce is like, this is how people experience that?
Gosh, working in Ghana is different. I think that's the most I'll say about that. I enjoyed it. It was something different. I actually enjoyed working somewhere where everybody was black.
Yeah, that feeling's good.
Yeah, that was the good feeling. You know what I mean? Because like I'm used to, everywhere I usually work, I am maybe one of the only or maybe one or two black people. Like currently, I'm like there's only two of us in my department that are black. So it's a different experience. So I enjoyed that experience.
That's great. And would you see yourself living in the UK, working there too?
Oh my gosh. So I think when I was younger, I always wanted to live in the UK because I watched too much Coronation Street and I love it, right? So when I even went to the UK, that was the one thing I said. I said, I'm so excited I'm here because this is what I've always wanted. And then I got there and I didn't get that feeling I get when I'm in Ghana. And I guess I'm big on that.
That feeling.
That feeling in your gut or whatnot. And I didn't get that feeling, but I still love the UK. Honestly, I love that place. I love them. Stuff too expensive there, but I love them. I love the experience. I love the accent. I love the feel of everything. You know, I think, oh my gosh, what's today? Today's the 22nd?
I think it's the 21st.
I think it's 2 years since I graduated from my master's.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, so to this day, yeah. So, I just love the experience there. I like to travel, so I enjoy traveling. I have no idea if I'll end up in the UK, so never say never. Maybe if like this whole pandemic stuff goes away, we can all travel again. But yeah, the UK was a good experience too. I enjoyed it.
That's great. I love that. Me too. I never thought I would like the UK because it always seemed gray in movies and whatnot. And it is, but when I got there,
It actually is gray.
yeah. But the first time I went there, it was really sunny. I was like, oh my gosh, it was sunny and warm. I'm like, I love this place. This is what I needed to be able to see it. Now any other day that is gray, it's okay because I saw the sunny side. So.
Okay. So she had a different experience than me. When I went, it was cold.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tell us that that's how UK is.
Right? You think it's just Canada.
The whole time we're there. Okay,
That's
10 degrees is fine. No. 10 degrees in the UK is like minus 15. It was horribly cold. But I still had a good time.
Besides that.
Besides the freezing. Yeah, because you forget it's an island. So it's damp.
Okay. I feel you. That's great. Perfect. Well, I'm happy to hear that. And so we're just going to wrap things up. But
sure.
I would like you to share some, like you had said, there were some people who act as that bigger sister
Yes.
that you would have wished you had. Do you feel like you have another mission or something else that you would love to be able to do, or you would advise people to be?
I don't know. I think the thing with life, at least that I've learned in the little bit of time that I'm on this earth, not to be afraid of change. Things change. You will change. It's for the best. So like I had said before, like, don't think it's ever too late. It's never too late to follow your passion, your dream. I think the main thing is people think like a passion and a dream has to be something big and grand or whatever. But like I said, writing was something that I could do, and I didn't realize that it was my gift and my talent. So you probably have something that you do that comes easy to you and does not come easy to other people. That could be your gift and your talent, and that could be something that you could share with the world. You don't have to end up being an Oprah to make an impact in this world. You know, you can make an impact in your family, your little community, amongst your friends. So just think about that, the little impact that you can make amongst the people that you know. And just keep pursuing what makes you happy. You know, don't give up. Don't give out. Like I said, there is nothing wrong with having a 9-to-5. Don't let anybody deceive you and make you feel like having a 9-to-5 is bad. I noticed there's a lot of people with the entrepreneur spirit, but that doesn't mean quit your job. You know what I mean? Get to a point where you're comfortable. Maybe you have enough money that you can quit a job if you need to. But if you don't get there and you need that 9-to-5, don't feel bad that you have your 9-to-5. That helps take care of you, keeps a roof over your head, and feeds you.
That's right. I also want to touch on that because one thing, like, it's small, but benefits, it's so nice to know that it's covered by your company. You can go to the dentist, you can the doctor randomly need that extra stuff.
Listen, I think you don't, I think this is, for me especially, when I was unemployed was the time when I would get sick the most. And medicine, you'd have to start bargaining with your doctor. You'd be like, I need the most generic because all I have is a 50, right? So don't look at a 9-to-5 as something being bad. Benefits help. Brush your teeth, it's good. Clean your teeth, it's helpful. If you get sick right now, you can go and be in a hospital and you can get yourself even a private room. So those are the things that you don't think about because you're just thinking about what you see on Instagram or what people are selling you, this dream, this idea. But a 9-to-5 that takes care of you, that provides you benefits, is not a bad thing. That is something that can help you. It can help step you in the direction you want to go. Like I said, my 9-to-5 paid for my master's.
That's big.
Yes. And my master's wasn't in Canadian. It was in pounds.
That's
yeah, so not easy at all. But having a job, saving to the side is what helped me pay for that. So those are things to also think about as well too. If you quit your job right now, how do you pursue your passion? Where do you get the funds to help you? Those are things to think about as well too.
That's perfect. That's great. And so where can we find you and hear more of your knowledge and everything?
Oh, wow. So I am on Instagram. I have 2 different Instagrams. I think the one where you probably would get a little bit more info about like writing and stuff like that, it's at Miss Domfeh. So that's MSDOM as in Mary, F as in Frank, EH. So that's Miss Domfeh on Instagram. If you want to just see the silly side of me, the Instagram for that is at that GH girl. So that's ThatGhGirl.
Perfect. And we're going to post that in links below, so you'll see her jokes. Daniela's absolutely hilarious. Her knowledge, updates, all that stuff. And hopefully in the future, her book, you guys will be able to watch that. Great. So thank you again for joining us today. And thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Pursuing Purpose. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Bye.
There's sometimes I couldn't say certain things in straight conversations, but in songs or creating imagery with my words kind of helped me better articulate those thoughts.